Hi, welcome or welcome back to my decorating series. We're going to go inside and go to the fifth floor for the painting studio. So I was pretty excited to get to this room. I knew there were some very specific things. Those windows, for sure, needed to be in this room. And honestly, once I put them down, I loved the lighting coming through them. So I was really excited about it and really wanted to get as many in here as I felt like would fit. So I thought actually at first I was going to line all three walls and realized that some of those busy wallpapers would be all right because I wouldn't see as much of it, so it wouldn't feel quite as overwhelming. But I wanted a plain wall on the door side. So then I kind of started looking at the floors. I love this brick floor and those tile floors, this one. Ugh, but the colors weren't working for me with the wallpaper, but also with the windows. I was kind of surprised that it bothered me as much as it did. So I ended up going with this brick floor, and that made me want to change the walls. I actually really liked how the pumpkin walls looked because you could just see the vines at the top and the bottom. And then also that monster wallpaper, just because you didn't really see the monsters, you just saw colors, which I was really into. But it still felt a little too busy, so I decided not to do that. And yeah, just still finalizing, trying to pull the colors that were in that kind of geode, marbly looking wall. And then I knew I wanted tangled stuff. I knew I wanted Encanto stuff. Those are probably my favorite aesthetics in the game so far. Just for like, if it was my real house, if I were really picking stuff out, those are my favorite types of objects in the game. There's a lot of stuff I like, but as you know, like a whole movie category, those are my favorites. So I also knew that because it's a painting studio, I really wanted to have as many paintings in here. Like I'd been busy painting and hung up all of the stuff that I had painted in the past. And so I was looking for every single painting that was available. I ended up not using the memory frames and the story frames, although I had considered it at one point just because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to fill enough space, but there were plenty of paintings. Oh, I liked this terrazzo just because it almost looked like paint had gotten splattered on the walls, but I ended up going back to the geode wall and doing two walls of windows and two walls of solid color because there were so many paintings that I needed the room for them. So I decided to go ahead and start looking at carpets, start looking at objects. Yeah, here's when I'm like, okay, where's the tangled stuff? Where's the Encanto stuff? I really wanted to make sure I didn't miss it. Frozen. I was worried about reusing some objects that I had used in the craft room, but those painted screens from Frozen, I love them so much. So I knew that this room was really going to be focused on painting. So although I scroll through all of these lists, I didn't audition as much stuff in this room as I do sometimes, just because it's not like I needed, like three or four different big spaces. I needed the painting area and then maybe an area for relaxing and then maybe some storage type stuff. Like maybe I paint things on commission and ship them away. I can't remember if I've put them down already. I eventually put some crates in this room, like I would ship some paintings away. I wish they were more like what like you'd ship paintings in, like tall and flat kind of boxes or crates. But we don't have those, so we'll just do what we can do with what's in here, what's in the game. There they are. Those are the greats. I also knew I wanted a lot of greenery in here, especially with all this light. So eventually we get to that, but I saved looking at the foliage until the end because I really wanted to make sure that the painting area and the other little kind of areas were already set before I started looking at what plants might fit. There weren't as many little objects as I would have liked in here. Oh yeah, that little dresser. I thought it looked like a flat file almost, like you would have like canvases or big sheets of paper or something in them. And the only thing I really don't like about that dresser is I can't put anything on top of it. It's a big empty space in the end, and it's okay. It's just I wish I could have put, you know, like a flower on there, or maybe the cup of pencils or something that I eventually put on there, or something like that. But that painting table, I love it. And the easel, just the combination just says, I stand here and paint. And then with all the windows on the opposite, you know, I can imagine like standing here on a like spring day and just getting all the light from the windows, having some greenery. I got to use that big flowering tree, not the magnolia one that's blooming and dropping petals. I feel like I used that one quite a bit, and so I was excited to get to use that other one. More garlands in here. Definitely wanted more of those. I thought I was going to use more of the lanterns in here, but the ones I had, the tangled ones, well, I guess they're both tangled. The floating lanterns are also tangled, but I didn't want to get too repeaty with the lanterns I had used in the other room. So I ended up going with just the little pot lights like I did in the kitchen, kind of like a gallery wall. Definitely more function than form on those, but it made sense for just kind of functional light along the wall with the lanterns above the workspace. And then using the screens again to kind of disguise, like I did in the craft room with the cardboard cutouts, disguise those crates. And then I used those paintings, the ones that are covered in a sheet, or a cloth or whatever, like that's my supplies and my shipping supplies and blank canvases and that kind of thing. They're not pretty, but they're what we've got, and I thought it kind of fit. Just that whole thought about that corner being kind of storage and supplies. And then I put that wardrobe in here. I kind of wish I'd used I think there's a green one from Encanto. Kind of wish I'd done both of them, but I really wanted to make sure that I used all of the paintings. So now I'm just fussing with these garlands. Once I started having to put them at weird angles from each other, I kind of liked the idea that they weren't running a straight line across the room, and wanted to kind of manipulate them around a bit. And oh yeah, I got to use some of the new, what's a new bench from Aladdin, and that little footstool. I put it to the side, although I could imagine scooting it over. Like if I wanted to rest while painting, I could scoot the little footstool over, sit in that wicker chair, and just kind of observe the painting while relaxing. And that, I liked that big square table from Encanto too. It had lots of little slots, although I didn't end up filling it up, which is fine. There just wasn't enough objects that I liked for this room to fill it up. But I like how it works. It's got a little tea set on it. I feel like all of my maker spaces are going to have tea or coffee sets because they're so dang cute. And then, yes, here we are looking for more, just anything else that might fit. Like I usually start with the miscellaneous list and end with the miscellaneous list, or at least, you know, kind of do it near the beginning and near the end of the build, just because I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Like the first pass is more about getting inspired, and the last pass is about, okay, now that we're doing final touches, what else could fit? Oh yes, now we get to the foliage. With all these windows, it seemed like so appropriate to have a bunch of greenery and flowers, and I really wanted to try and fill this corner up just to make it feel lush in the corner, where if I wanted to relax, I would just go sit in that chair and have all this greenery. Made me very happy to put all that in there. And then as I was looking around the room for final touches, I was like, oh, I should probably put a bunch of plants around this bench over here. I like the idea of sitting in front of these really big windows, so that's why I put in a little seating area in the corner too. But yeah, just little rugs and little other things, but definitely more function. Oh, and then a quick trip to Scrooge's and the craft station. There wasn't a lot to add, so just one final look, making sure I'm not missing anything. All right, well, let's go in and check it out, shall we? This is actually going to round out the 5th floor. I'm not going to decorate the left and right rooms. I'm going to use those rooms for storage. But I'm digging this floor. I'm so happy that we're back to kind of the art craft spaces, because I think they're my favorite things. They're what I want to decorate in real life. So yes, I love this little corner for storage, but that it's covered by these screens. Oh my gosh, I love this corner so much. Like if this was real life, it would just make me feel like wanting to be creative and just spend time here, just with the sun and the plants and my stuff, my supplies. Just, I'm not a painter. Like this room would be a painter, like for a painter, but like if I were, this room would make me so happy. Just because it feels like a space to just get creative in and just have this little bubble universe almost. I love all the paintings on the walls. I love that there is a variety of paintings. And then this little corner too. I love that little dresser. Can imagine more canvases and supplies in there. And just, yeah, just the sun streaming in the windows. You know, it's not quite as, hectic as the craft room is, but it definitely has that, kind of carefree, whimsical vibe of I just come in here and make a mess and then paint something pretty and escape the world for a little while. So, yeah, I'm super happy with this floor. Makes me really happy to come up here. I know I'll be coming into at least the craft room to use the storage spaces, and that's satisfying too, knowing I'll get to see these, at least the craft room, if not this room, more often than some of the other floors, because it's also going to have some function to it. So yeah, really happy with it. That's it for today's decorating adventure. If you liked this video, a thumbs up is a great way to let me know, and a subscription will keep you up to date on my latest shenanigans. If you want to hang out with me live, I stream on YouTube and Twitch on Thursday evenings and middays on Sunday. I hope you have a lovely day, night, time, wherever you are, whenever you are, and I'll see you next time.